Hello and welcome to today's video. Sorry there's been a bit of a delay between the previous one, which was Jill Valentine, and this one. I've had some camera issues and needed to get a new camera. So on that note, I have a PayPal in the description if you'd like to donate. Any funds will help me be able to provide better videos in the future. But anyway, we're now onto Rebecca Chambers, and I think the first thing we're going to do, so obviously she's been washed in a warm bath of water with a slight mix of a little bit of washing up liquid, and given a scrub to make sure she's all clean, to remove any release agent from the molds, because that stops paint from sticking. And then it's been sprayed with Army Painter Brainmatter Beige, because I find that gives quite a nice base coat to go with. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to start off with her skin, and for that we're going to use Cadian Flesh Tone, and this is for all her skin, so her face, give it a shake, her face and her arms. And I'm using a wet palette for this, so this wet palette is Army Painter, and it is a very good one. So we will start off with the face, like that. You want to thin down your paint slightly, just a dab of water, because you don't want it going on too thick, as you can see. And we'll be back after I've done all the skin. Okay, so as you can see, that stage is dried. Don't forget those little ankle bits round by the bottom of the trouser leg. We'll make sure we get them as well. In the reference photo I've got, she's got like a choker around her neck, which you can see on there hopefully. And from what I can see, it's pink, so I will be using Pink Horror for this. Again, give it a shake. I'll use a fine brush for this. I'm using Da Vinci range brushes, they're quite good. Had no issues with them. But again, you can use whichever type of brush you see fit, whatever you feel comfortable using. And it's just very fine around there. Very lightly. Finish that, I'll be back. Okay, so that bit's complete, as I don't know if that you can see that very well, but that. Next paint I'm going to use Orruk Flesh, Citadel Base, and this is for her t-shirt underneath her body armour. So give this a good shake, and load it. Get a little bit on the brush. You can use a fine brush here if you so wish, and we'll just fill that in. I always use the generic two thin coats is a good way of doing things. You want it watered down, you don't want it on too thick, otherwise it will be all thick and gloopy. So 2 thin coats, and as you can see, that's going on nicely. I'll get that done and we'll be back. Have it, that's the t-shirt underneath her body armour. Next we're going to go Caliban Green, and this is going to base coat her trousers. Again, as with each other step, I shake the paint up, put a little bit on my wet palette, and just thin it down. And we just slap it on. Again, this is definitely going to need 2 coats, because it's a darker paint going over a lighter base, so it's going to need 2 base coats. But try not to get it on that part of the trouser leg, because that's upturned and that should be more of a white colour. Try to avoid the first aid spray, because that's hopefully going to stay a lighter colour, but the rest I'd say you could probably just slap it on over. It's going to be darker colours, because the belt I'm going to do black, and the satchel I'm going to do in a Rakarth Flesh sort of colour, which is a greyish sort of colour. But I'll get that finished and we'll be back. Right, so the green on the trousers are done. Next we're going to go onto her hair. From photos it appears that she's got a dark brown hair, so we're going to go in with Rhinox Hide. by Games Workshop. Give the paint a shake. A little bit on our brush. Water it down a tiny bit so it flows better. And we just want to paint it onto our hair. Like so. This probably need a couple of coats. So we'll be back once that's done. That stage is done. As you can see, there's a little bit of ear there, so try not to paint over that with the Rhinox Hide. Next I'm going to go in with Rakarth Flesh. This is going to need a bit of a shake, but for this I'm going to do all the straps around her shoulders, her waist. She's got a belt around her main belt is going to be black, but all the other belts like here and this pouch and any pouches are going to be this colour. I think this would be quite a nice colour once it's down, so I'll give that a shake. Okay, so I think that's quite a nice colour for that. So again, a bit on the brush, want it watered down slightly so it flows better, only a tad. I highly advise getting a wet palette. It keeps your paints flowing nicely. So I'm going to do her shoulders, her shoulder straps like that. That one. See those two that I've done? I'll fill that in, and then around the waist. So there. That one there, that bit there, and that bit there. Same the other side. Then her pouches here. Her big pouch on the back. There as well. And then the straps that will go around, leaving the belt, because that's going to be black. But as you can see there, the main places I'm going to hit. So I'll get that done and we'll be back. Okay, so that's done. I had to use a couple of coats on the bits on the around the green trousers. So next we're going to do the medical sign on her back. And for that we're going to use Mephiston Red. Put a shake. Get a little bit on a brush. And just start putting it on. We'll finish that off when we're back. So that's the medical symbol done on the back. Just needed a little bit of a tidy up, which I used Ulthuan Grey for, just on the inside where I accidentally got a bit on other parts of it. So next we're going to go on to our shoes and gloves and the belt. So for that we need Black Legion. Contrast paint, great paint, I love it. One of my favourites. Such great coverage. This can go straight on without watering it down, so a fine brush for this. Give us as much control as possible. The photos I've seen, the tips of her boots, or they look like Converse shoes, to me, are white. So I will be leaving a bit like that, you see? That top bit, and then I'll do around the edges, the sole of the shoe, like so, like that. I may or may not leave that. We'll see how it turns out, but we'll go with the rest of the shoes, the gloves, even the watch, and the belt. And we'll be back when that's done. Okay, so that's the gun, the boots, the gloves. As you can see, I painted in the caps. They just didn't look right, so I thought, why not? Next we're going to tackle the badge. So for this we're going to use Kantor Blue, Games Workshop. Give it a good shake. We're going to put this all over the badge. So nice quick step for this. Getting thin down. You always thin down your paints. You don't want them too splodgy. We just want to fill in that. Okay, so that's the blue badge done. Next, what we're going to do is probably start washing the model. So we'll shading, we should say. So there's 3 shades I'm going to be using. There's Nuln Oil, Biel-tan Green, and Reikland Flesh shade. So I'm going to use the Nuln Oil on her body armor, the straps, and her lower half, like her trousers, this ankle bit. I'm going to use the Biel-tan Green on the lighter green, which is the shoulders around the neck, and I'm going to obviously use Reikland Flesh shade on the skin, which is her face, and I'm also going to do it on her hair. So let's start off with Reikland. Give that a shake, and we'll get started. We want to just get it all in the recesses, not too much. If you put too much on, you can just drag it around the mini, and if there's still too much on, what you can do is dry your brush and use the brush to soak it up. So for example, if I put too much on her face like that, I can just wet the brush, dry it off so there's nothing on it, and then just put it off like that. So we'll be back once that stage is done. That's her skin shaded, still drying. Something I did forget to do is the cap of the first aid spray that's in her hand, and for that we're going to use Leadbelcher. Just quickly, let's say. So that's the cap done. Next, we're going to use Biel-tan Green for the t-shirt. I'm actually going to water it down a tiny bit, so just mix it with a tiny bit of water, just to get it a bit out. Probably ratio of 1 to 1. Put it on your wet palette. Get a little bit more on your brush. Mix it in, because we don't want to darken it down too much. So as you can see, we're just going to put it on like that. So I'll do that when that's done. Okay, so that is the Biel-tan Green on the shoulders done. Next we're going to go in with Nuln Oil. Not much left in this one, but I have another one. And again, this I want watered down to a ratio of 1 part Nuln Oil, 1 part water, just because otherwise I find it get too dark. So a bit on your wet palette. Some water on your brush and thin it down. And then this is going to go on her trousers and her belts and over her, I might even water it down a little bit more for her vest, because I don't want that too dark. I just want to get it in the shadows. So see, it's going down alright. We'll be back once that dries. Okay, with the washes almost dry, it's already looking a lot better. So the next step I'm going to do is a very light white border over the badge. You can't, you probably could if you're really steady hand, but I'm not going to bother writing the stars. I just want a white border, and then I'm going to get a bit of yellow paint and chuck it in where the 3 stars are. So for this I'm going to use Morrow White by P3. I find this is the best white out there. Believe me, I've gone through a lot, and this is the one that I rely on quite a bit. So again, water it down. Then we want to just very lightly run it over. I probably will go on blue. Oh, crap. I'm going to have to do a bit of fixing there. But very lightly run over the badge. Got to do a bit of tidy up there. Okay, so that's that tidied up a little bit. For 3 stars, I'm going to use Averland Sunset. It's literally 3 dots. Again, it has to look good from a distance. You don't really have to worry too much, because if people scrutinise, then be like, you do a better job, mate. No, 3 little dots. 1, 2, 3. Obviously, I'm going to tidy that up. There you go. So, if you wanted to leave it there, it will be very much usable. But of course, if you want to go a few steps further, you can go on to some highlighting. So we'll start off with, I think, her body armor. We'll just use the same P3 white and just give it a slight, very, very, very slight highlight. You can get some on your wet palette, bit of water, make sure it's clean, otherwise it will contaminate the white, but you know, I'm awful for that. And then just over the parts that are white. So the ankle bits, just pick out the very tops, like so, leaving the Nuln Oil in the recesses. That, and then the body armor like that, and with that, once that's dry, that's the body armor finished, almost anyway. Next we're going to come back in with Mephiston Red for just very subtle highlights on the cross on her back. So, around there. That. The top highlight for the red is we're going to mix a bit of Fire Dragon Bright in with the red. Let's see how that turns out. Just do the top edges where the light would catch the most, like so. Don't want too much because it will take over there. There you go, happy with that. Right, next we're going to come back in with the Rakarth Flesh for all the straps. These are just very fine highlights. Straps and the pouches. Like so. We'll get that finished and we'll be back. Okay, so that's done. Then I'm going to do, so I've still got some of the P white on my palette here. P3 Morrow White. So I'm going to mix it in with a little bit of the Rakarth Flesh, just to lighten it up a tad. And this is going to be the tip highlight of all the top facing edges, top of the belts, anywhere light would hit, and then on the shoulder straps, like so. And that's them done. Let's go up and tidy them up a bit, and we'll be back. Step back in with the Orruk Flesh, and this is for the t-shirt. Once again, this is as high. I think the highlights are going to go for the t-shirt because I quite like the Orruk Flesh colour. So it's just we're leaving the Biel-tan Green in the recesses, because I quite like this. Is more of a yellowy green, which I think looks nice. There's a tiny bit just on the shoulders there. Yeah. A bit on the first aid spray. I say. Happy with that. We'll be back for the next step. Okay, so that's done now. So next stage we're going to go in with Cadian Flesh Tone for all the skin and just start highlighting up. Like that, there we go. And the arms and the fingers. That's it. We'll be back after that dries. So that's a bit better now. Next we're going to go do a 50-50 mix of Rhinox Fresh and Cadian Flesh Tone. I've already got Cadian Flesh Tone on my wet palette, so I'm just going to mix in a bit of Flayed Fresh, and then we'll go from there. This is going to be on the highest points. This is going to go on here, on the highest points. Like so. And then on the bridge of the nose, on the cheeks and on the ears. And on the ears. Like that. Like that. Finally we'll do a straight highlight of Flayed Flesh straight over it, and that should be the skin. This is only on the highest points, like the bridge of the nose, top of the arm, tiny bit on the back of the leg there, where the sun catches, where the light catches, back of the arm, back of the neck, a little bit on the cheek. There you go. Happy with that. And that's it. Okay, so next stage we want to continue with the trousers. So since that's been darkened down with shade, I'll go back in with Caliban Green. Just to bring it back up again a bit. Leaving the darkest bit in the recesses. And once that's dried, we'll be back. Done. So next I'm going to add mix a bit of Orruk Flesh into that green. So yes, I'm going to add Orruk Flesh to this, to the green that's already on the wet palette, and then use that as the highlight. Almost there now. So last few things, we still need to highlight the black. So for this we're going to use Dark Reaper. This is the gloves and the boots and the belt. We're going to do the black on the gun, highlight that with a silver like I usually do for weapons, and the brush, and then highlight just the highest areas, the rounded bit of the boot, and just where the light will glint off it for the gloves, top parts, like so. I'll finish that up and I'll be back. We want to mix in a little bit of the Ulthuan Grey into that Dark Reaper that's on our paint palette, just to get a middle colour. And again, just on the tips of the boots, maybe the laces on there. On the top edges, and on the glove, on the top of the glove, like so. Like so. And just a little bit on the belt. Okay, then we want to go in straight with the Ulthuan Grey, straight from the bottle. The very tip, smallest of highlights, like so. Okay, so next up we got, right, we want to go back to Leadbelcher, and this is just got the buckle to do on the belt, and the top of the first aid spray, then just lines along the gun to show it's metallic, like so. Nothing too fancy, just to show it's a weapon. And I'll say I might actually do a little bit of metallic on the belt buckle on here as well, like so. Okay, so the final part before I tempt the eyes, I'm going to do a mix of Rhinox Hide with Mournfang Brown, just for a very fine highlight of her hair. Get on the paint palette, a bit of Mournfang Brown, mix them together. I'd say 50-50, and then very edge highlights of the hair. Just as I was doing that, I noticed a choker, so just a little bit of Emperor's Children. Just a quick tiny highlight on that. God damn it. Just quit that because I just got it on her hair. Just get your brush wet and then just run it over it until it's disappeared. There you go. So I've got a little bit on her hair, but that's gone. So again, let's try for a second time. Emperor's Children on the brick. Okay. And that is Rebecca Chambers. I will now attempt the eyes. I won't do that on camera because I need to focus, but I will be back to see, hopefully it's worked. And that's the eyes done. Not the best, but I think it will do. And there you have it, Rebecca Chambers of Stars Bravo team. If, again, like, this isn't a tutorial video, not even the slightest, it's more of a I'm just going to paint. And if you like the way I've painted, you're more than welcome to use any ideas I've used. But yeah, there she is, Rebecca Chambers in all her glory. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. And again, like I said at the beginning, I have a PayPal in my description. If you would like to donate to the channel, any money from there will go into improving the quality of these videos, be it better light for painting videos or a better camera for recording, that sort of stuff. But again, thank you again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video, which will hopefully be Barry Burton. Thanks again, and goodbye.